Hello, my name is Chadamir Nestorovic, and I am a professor at ESSEC Business School in Singapore. Today, we are going to talk about net neutrality. In recent times, some internet service providers have attempted to sell services or to offer them for free, and this way they are contravening to net neutrality. As an example, we'll take the case of the telecom company Telia in Sweden. This company tried to offer a new service for its subscribers, saying, for instance, that they will have free access to a certain number of services, such as Facebook, such as Spotify or Instagram. So it means that once they have achieved the maximum concerning the data cap, they will still continue to have access to the services, but not to the other ones. In that case, we have a problem concerning the fair treatment of access to the internet. It is clearly indicated on the screenshot from Telia that access to some services such as applications, websites, or social media are free of charge, and that they do not count in the surfing amount. In that case, it is clearly unfair when we consider other providers, because for the other providers, it is not free of charge if you want to have access to them. This is called zero rating, and this practice is something which is clearly abounding today, so we'll have to indicate what is zero rating. Zero rating is a practice when a mobile operator is giving its subscribers the possibility to have access to a certain service or website or an application free of charge. For instance, we can imagine a closed system when a giant in providing the content and a giant in providing access to the internet are working together in order to offer free access to the services. So it means that for the others, we have to pay. It is inducing unfair competition when we look at the other competitors on the place. There are no universal rules as far as the zero rating is concerned. So it means that different jurisdictions will have different approaches for this. We'll take two examples. The first one is coming from India, where the biggest online retailer, Flipkart, wanted to partner with one of the leading mobile operators, Airtel, in order to give free access to their retailing operations. So it means implicitly that if they wanted to have access to Amazon or to another online retailer, it will be chargeable. This worked for a couple of weeks, and after that, after the complaint coming from the consumers, the company Flipkart had to pull back and to suppress this activity. The example from India was from 2015, while another example coming from Germany is from this year, 2017. The biggest operator, Deutsche Telekom, launched its own service called Stream On, permitting its customers to have access to high quality videos and high quality audio files if they are subscribing to one of its packages, which is called Magenta. So it means that for the others, we didn't have the same quality of access. So it is not high quality, it is not the premium one, but it will be what they used to call optimized quality for mobile users, but it means that the speed and the quality was not the same one. Zero rating is directly violating net neutrality, and this net neutrality has been implemented since the inception of the internet. From the very starting of the internet, it was assumed that the internet service providers will not block, that they will not slow down, and they will not charge access to a certain service. Only the providers, that is the content providers, could charge some services, but not the internet service providers, that is the telecom operators, especially mobile telecom operators. It is assumed that we have to pay if we want to have access to certain content. For instance, Netflix is charging if you want to watch videos or movies. On the other side, we can also have some news service providers, for instance, New York Times. If you want to have access to the full New York Times, in that case you have to pay. But this is not decided by the internet service provider, that is the telecom company. What the telecom company would like to do is to have a possibility to offer access to usually free services such as Google, such as social media, and in that case, depending on the speed, depending on the content, the customers are asked to pay. Among the different business models which are discussed today among the internet service providers, there are three of them. The first one is the possibility for the internet service provider to charge access to some websites or to some applications. So in that case, the customer is paying for that, and this amount is either shared between the internet service provider and the content provider. The second possibility is to modulate the speed of access to a certain number of sites. So in that case, the internet service provider can offer high speed, and in the other cases it will throttle down, meaning it will slow down the access to the websites which are not included in the deal. And the third possibility is to charge the content provider the access to their own site. So in that case, for instance, Netflix will have to pay Verizon if the customers from Verizon want to have access to Netflix. When a content provider and an internet service provider make a deal, we consider that they are putting in motion something which is called a closed internet system. The closed internet system is not necessarily bad. Of course, there are countries where, because of the question of sovereignty, the political leaders would like to control, or they would like to circumvent the access to the internet to their own citizens. And it is happening, for instance, in China, when routinely they are talking about cyberspace sovereignty and the possibility for the country to regulate everything which is touching to the internet. But we can also have this in Western countries when, for instance, Facebook or the other companies are trying to limit the access to the extremist views on their own platforms. And the latest example is when Facebook has engaged artificial intelligence in order to wipe out all the content which is linked to Al-Qaeda or to ISIS. The closed internet is an anomaly compared to the open internet, which was the ideal when the internet has been launched worldwide. Today, we have associations which are tracking the protection of the net neutrality, and one of them is the website which is called This is Net Neutrality, and we can find a nice map showing all the countries where we have the protection of net neutrality, and on this map it is evident that only 3 countries do not protect net neutrality today, and these 3 countries are Russia, China and Myanmar. So, what are the options? The first option is that internet remains free as it used to be in the past, and all the stakeholders, especially the customers, will have free access to all websites. The only problem is the return on investment concerning the content, because the companies which would like to invest on the internet are not sure that they will recoup their investment. The second option is to say that zero rating would be a norm on the internet. So in that case, the internet service providers can sell packages with a certain number of accesses to the internet. This is what is happening today when we have a large number of pipes, meaning the internet service providers, dealing with the content providers in order to put together and to have some kind of vertical integration between the providers, that is the internet service providers on one side, and the content providers on the other side, such as Comcast dealing with NBC Universal or Verizon dealing with Yahoo.